What's going on, everybody? David Feldman-Makrias here, and I want to talk about something pretty interesting, and it's how to sell more cars with this magic bullet. As long as I've been in this industry, as long as my family has been in this industry, everyone, car dealers, general managers, whomever, and this could apply to overall business owners as well, everyone's looking for that magic bullet, that magic bullet that's going to allow them to sell more cars, sell more products, sell more of everything of what they're trying to do, right? Or what they're trying to sell. And I've been a part of a few campaigns, only a few in my life, that have really almost seemed like a magic bullet. And once you have enough of them and have been in industry long enough, you start to see specific trends and specific patterns that lead to these magic bullet situations. So, in today's video, I want to talk about a car dealer example specifically. And I want to show that even in some of the worst possible circumstances we've seen in the last 5 years, as far as the car industry and automotive industry, as far as the challenges with financing and overall demand, and using one of the toughest brands, new car franchises, because of their non competitive pricing, and that being Stellantis, which includes Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram, and Fiat and Alfa Romeo as well, that you can still sell more. It doesn't matter what the obstacles are. Of course, it matters, but we shouldn't use them as excuses. And that doesn't stop us from using this magic bullet formula that will basically help you sell more. And this could be applied to a lot of other businesses as well. So let's get into it. Selling more cars with this magic bullet. First, I want to prove to you that I'm actually stating some real examples. And what better way to do that than looking at some numbers? Okay. As of this recording, it is the 5th of July, blah, blah. 5th of July. Happy 4th of July, everybody. So, 4th of July, 2024. I'm looking at a VIN Solutions report from one of our Stellantis dealers, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge. You can see that here. And Rams also included, so you know. But here, June 1st of 24 to June 30th of 24, they sold, if I zoom in here, 182 vehicles. Okay. 93 new, 89 used, with about 1,600 overall total leads. So that's the number we're working with, and we've been working with this dealer for quite a while now. And the reason I want to bring them up is because this magic bullet formula, which I'm going to disclose at the end, has worked for this store in some of the toughest conditions. In this market, we have some of the highest interest financing rates that we've had in the past decade. And that is due to inflation and trying to slow the economy down after COVID times, after the pandemic. And it's impacted the auto industry and a lot of industries alike, but especially the auto industry, because people are not able to, get financed. That's one big hurdle. The second big hurdle is people don't have as much money as they did in the past few years. So the grosses that car dealers have been able to get away with over the last so many years is not as big, right? So that's another obstacle. The third obstacle, Stellantis, meaning Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram mainly. Of course, Alfa Romeo and Fiat, but mostly those four, and really just Jeep and Ram. Those are the big ones. That has to be one of the toughest, if not the toughest, new car franchise to have right now, because their pricing structure is just really, really out of whack. They don't have good entry level vehicles. They rely really heavily on brand loyalty, which Jeep carries a lot of, but there is a point of limitation, right? I mean, I just see it in GM products. You got the Chevy Trax for a low $20,000 starting price. It's a good looking car, gets good gas mileage, and it's a nice entry level vehicle for people that can't afford it. And especially with 7-8% interest rates, right? Especially Especially with high interest rates, people's payments are higher and higher and higher, and they can't afford it. So Stellantis not having a vehicle that is entry level that people can afford is a big deal. So that's a third challenge. Those are some of the biggest challenges we're seeing across the board. And I hear Chrysler dealers, I call them Chrysler dealers still, or FCA dealers, whatever you want, whatever rhetoric you want to use. I mean, I hear him complain all the time about this, but this store in particular was actually able to sell more vehicles, again, using the magic bullet, which I'm going to talk about. Let me show you how. 182 vehicles, right? Let's scroll down. Let's look at last year, June of 2023. They sold 136 vehicles with 1,300, almost 1,400 leads. Now, 2023 was a much different year than 2024. Supply was different, which could affect vehicle sales, especially in new. Demand was different. You had more demand. You had more demand than I think you do now because interest rates, even though they were high, we still had different programs and were able to get people in cars. And we weren't this far along in recession. I don't care what people say. I do believe we're in economic recession. So just based off of spending trends and things that I'm seeing in the overall market. So, I mean, it's 50 cars ahead of just under 50 cars ahead of last year. But okay, let's write off June of last year. What else can we compare to? Well, I'm going to compare to September of last year where it was even worse. 115 cars. And note that we did not take marketing responsibility until about September, October of 2023 for this specific store. So we did not handle them in 2023. And that's why I want to show you the increase. They're selling more cars. Okay. 115 in September, 136 in June of 23, now to 182 in June of 2024. Significant increases. Let's keep comparing. Now, here's what we're chasing. In September of 2019, okay, September of 2019, there was 193 vehicles sold. That was pre-pandemic levels. There's a lot of volume. So we're getting close to that volume again, which is awesome. Now, September and June, not historically the same type of selling months because there is a seasonality, especially in the Midwestern market. So let's keep looking at other comparisons. Here's June of 2019. They did 235 vehicles and 1,500 leads, right? So it's like, wow, that is a lot of vehicles for that many leads. It's important to look at the lead count too. 235 for 1,500 leads. 193 vehicles for 1,700 leads back in September of 2019. But September of 2023, 115 sales for 1,300 leads, 1,250. June of 2023, 136 vehicles for 1,400-ish leads. And then finally, where we're at today, 182 vehicles for 1,600 leads. We're seeing levels on this specific store to parallel, not quite reach pre-pandemic levels, but get as close as they ever could be. This actually helped this store slingshot into the top positions in their region for new cars sold. Note, 93 new cars sold here compared to 82 last year when demand was really good, compared to 52 in September of last year, right? Then when we get back to the 2019s, you get to 123 vehicles, 175 new vehicles. That is quite a performance. So we're not quite at pre-pandemic levels yet, but we are on the right track, and we are selling more vehicles, especially new vehicles, even in this changed market. You got to remember, back in 2019, you had 0% financing. You had a very, very strong economy that was not in a recession. You wouldn't even know what a pandemic was because we didn't have all that. So, and you had a healthy job market. You had a lot of really good factors. You know, there's only so much we can control with a market, but that doesn't mean to say that we can't help sell more vehicles. And again, I'm going to refer to this magic bullet. Well, David, okay, enough of this nonsense. We understand that this store sold more cars, but what's this magic bullet you're talking about, right? Just tell me what it is. Give me the magic bullet. Okay, I'm going to give it to you. Relax. Everyone relax. Take a chill pill. We're going to get to the magic bullet. But I'm sorry to say, there really isn't a magic bullet. Let me explain. There is and there isn't. I'm going to call this the 4 factors of the magic bullet. Okay. I've had dealers ask me, how am I supposed to sell more cars? I was just in a different Stellantis dealer. How am I supposed to sell more cars? Well, my father has been in the industry for 50 plus years. I asked him about all these uncertain times and all these things that we have not been through, supposedly. And, what do we do? And he refers to the terminology of blocking and tackling. David, people, dealers, everybody, they have to get back to the basics. Let me reiterate. They have to get back to the basics. One more time. We have to get back to the basics. Blocking and tackling. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to tell you. First off, first bullet point, I'm going to keep it to 4. Pricing. You got to have loss leaders. And you have to have loss leaders in every trim. And you have to inspect your loss leaders. What does that mean? You should go to your third parties and you should actually look for your vehicles if you have cars on cars.com, Auto Trader, what have you. You got to make sure that you're competitive with searches. You got to put in your zip code. You got to look at each individual new car, and then you got to see where you rank, either in relevance, sorting by relevance, or sorting by descending price. You have to see if you actually pop up, because if vAuto or whatever pricing syndication tool that you use tells you you are, you better inspect what you expect. That's all I can say. So check your loss leaders. Check your actual third parties. Go on the site. Staff. Is your staff working the deals as hard as they could? I have multiple clients where this transition from pandemic levels to post-pandemic levels, especially with demand shifting, they are not as on the ball as they once were. They were used to deals walking in. They're used to qualifying people over the phone because they don't have inventory. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Guys are getting buried with inventory. You're going to have floor plans at 8% interest. Well, if you got $1 million, right, at 8%, that's 80 grand a month you're going to be flooring. We didn't have those at 0% financing the same. So dealer personnel really have to move units. You can't afford to sit on these cars. You don't have people coming in and saying, oh my God, let me just buy this car and I'll pay whatever you want for it. That's not happening. So your staff needs to understand that is something we need to address. That is something they need to be more on the ball with. I do see some stores that are really doing a great job at this, and those are the ones that are succeeding. So what does that mean? And actionable items. You got to go through your CRM. You got to look at every deal. You got to look at every chat. If you're hurting on leads, look at every chat. If you're hurting on leads, listen to the calls that you're getting. Are they dropping? Are they falling off at the operator? Basic stuff, guys, basic stuff. You're not going to be able to hand it on a silver platter. You got to inspect what you expect always. And we had multiple instances where BDC teams, business development center teams, really good follow-up, good this, good that, but they were overqualifying over the phone. And when management finally listened to the calls and listened to the chats, they understood, oh my God, we're leaving deals on the table here. We're leaving deals on the table here because our frontline people, who have no disadvantage or doubt to them, but our frontline people don't understand that, okay, even though this person is not at the right payment, come on in the store, right? Come on in, Mrs. or Mr. Customer, because even though, your payment's a little bit far away from our quote, I'm pretty sure my management staff can do something. You know what? I'm going to set an appointment for you right now, and I'm going to do it for the next day because we have a couple people on this car, and I'm going to get my manager, Bob, in on it so he knows, so he can help put it together for you. How does 2 o'clock sound, or does 3 o'clock work better? I mean, that's the basics of what we need to start doing again, right? So your staff needs to be on the ball. Events. If you don't have events going on, you really, really should. You got to get community engagement as much as possible. Events drive sales, to drive awareness. I know they cost money up front, but it's good for the community, and people need vehicles now, right? People need vehicles. Here, I'm going to tell you a great event right off the bat, a service clinic, right? A service to sales clinic. You bring in your vehicle for service, you get this extra voucher, but you have to listen to a salesperson give a spiel about a new car and how it can help you. Again, that's an interesting idea. Get people in for service, but I mean, there's tons of available customers in your service department. Can you tie some event to link people in? Anybody coming for service, maybe they get a free refreshment or honor our customer day or whatever, and then they have to walk through the sales department with a member of their sales staff. That's a nice event to get everybody in the dealership. Holidays. 4th of July, having taco trucks, having food trucks, having, festivities, having donations, stuff like that, getting the community involved really, really pays off. It's hard to link like a direct attribution, but I know for fact that we have multiple events happening for different stores in different metropolitan areas, and it's working really, really well. Okay, that's events. Fourth point I'm going to give you is your marketing, right? Of course, that's what we do. That's what my team and I do, all your marketing. I'm going to tell you what led to this store's success. We did weekly meetings, okay? We met weekly, whether it's in person, Zoom, whatever. We met more often, more frequently, so we can get a better understanding of the store. We did audits on their website. We did audits on their social media. We did audits on their Google, and we still do it even though we are responsible for it. We did vendor meetings. We interviewed Cars.com. We interviewed AutoTrader. We interviewed Clairvoy. We interviewed different website companies. We interviewed everybody to see who is full of crap and who's actually worth their weight. We did campaign creations. We get granular. We actually do, I'm getting all over the place here, but we do a better segmentation of our digital campaigns. We create vehicle listing ad campaigns, as an example, for each new model. Big players like Pure Cars, and I'm calling them out, Pure Cars and other vendors do not do that. Your certified vendors, I make so many videos on this, your certified vendors are not doing you, they're doing you an injustice, right? They're doing you an injustice. I've seen under the hood, and I know exactly what kind of campaigns they're running. It's aggravating to look at because you're just leaving opportunities on the table. Google specifically is one of the dealers' now biggest spends in advertising. And advertising is one of the biggest expenses overall for a dealership. So you're talking about one of the most biggest expenses that a dealership has, and it's being utilized incorrectly, right? That led to it too. Better segmentation of digital campaigns. If you've been watching this channel, you'll see all my Google ad stuff. You'll see different case studies. I'm beating a dead horse. So we had vendor meetings. We have campaign creations. We help coordinate events. We help consult their BDC. We help point them in the right direction. Oh, staff too. Sometimes you got to get rid of staff that's not willing to cooperate. This had to happen for a particular store, and they had to bring in somebody fresh on a recommendation. Someone that's more aggressive, that understands how to price vehicles and talk and get people in the door and sell freaking cars, block and tackle the old school way. Have people follow up, have people call. That's what's needed. We got to work harder. And another thing I almost missed is the different channels. We're trying different channels that we didn't used to do. We took a bunch of wasted efforts and put it on stuff that we've known and tested that work. Some are even more old school, like direct mail and some terrestrial advertising. Some of that stuff, when it's hyper niched and it's hyper segmented and it's bought on the right thing with the right strategy and the right saturation, it works. The dealer is willing to spend money. That helps too. And you got to do it. And then when you do all of this over the culmination of months, you will sell more cars. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. But guess what? It's a lot of freaking work. That's the magic bullet, guys. It's actually doing the work. I broke it down for you in these 4 buckets. Pick one of them. I'm going to say look at your pricing because that'll be the first way to drive in traffic. If you don't have good loss leaders and you don't have that mentality, you should. You got to isolate. That's your number one. Then go into your staff, right? Go into your staff. Make sure they're on point. Inspect what you expect. Then events. Are you having events? If you're not, you should be. An easy one, service clinic to sales appointment. Reward your service customers that got to come in with some complimentary refreshments, complimentary voucher, complimentary whatever, and then walk them through the sales department. Have every single salesperson know how to do it. because there's your customer pool, guys. They're actually being delivered to you daily. And you're like, oh my God, where do I get leads? Where do I get leads? They're right in your other department that most dealers don't have a good connection to, right? Most sales car departments don't have a good connection to the service department. Go entertain them. The best salespeople work the service drive right there. And then finally, marketing. Is your marketing dialed in? Are you having often meetings? Do you know what's going on? Are you coordinating events? Are you looking at different channels? Are you exploring? Are you A/B testing? Are you really segmented? Do your people really know what they're talking about? Or do they just blow you off and say, okay, here's your report, see you next month? Because that happens all too often in this industry. Guys, these are the 4 factors of the magic bullet. This is a magic bullet, right? If you're looking for a one little point that's going to just solve your problem and whatever, then you pay for it tomorrow and it just happens. Doesn't work that way. You can't go to the gym, lift one weight, and automatically be Arnold Schwarzenegger. It takes time, but it doesn't take as much time as you think. And if you do the right things, it'll go even faster. These are the factors, the magic bullet that we do, that we consult on, that we utilize, that we push, and we help you with. If you are interested in any of this, or you feel like your vendors now, or your advertising, or your marketing is not getting these factors out. If there is doubt, leave me a comment. I'd be happy to give you a complimentary audit because this is what we do. This is what I'm passionate about. As you can see in my voice, my expressions, I'm going to have all these wrinkles when I'm someday. I already have some, but this is what we do. This is what my family does. This is what we discuss at the dinner table. This is what we live and breathe. So call me, text me, write me, Snapchat me. You can't really do any of those things because you don't know my contacts, but just leave me a comment. I'd be happy to respond and I'd be happy to help whoever's interested because you can do it. So thank you so much. Happy 4th of July. Now it's the 5th. And I hope you have a fabulous, fabulous time when you're watching this video. Thank you so much. David Feldman-Makrias. Talk to you soon.